In this particular unit, we're going to talk about peripheral components and how they work. We're going to talk about installing and configuring display devices, and then installing and configuring different types of input devices, installing and configuring expansion cards, and installing and configuring multimedia devices. So this first section, we're going to talk about different display types and how we go about installing and configuring them. Different display types, CRTs, they still are out there, but you will find them less and less. CRT monitors are very large, very heavy, very toxic for the environment, and so they are pretty much have been superseded by two other types of display devices, an LCD, which stands for liquid crystal display, and an LED, which stands for light emitting diode. LCD is, like I said, a liquid crystal display, much more, consume a lot less energy than CRTs do, and they use something called a cold cathode fluorescent lamp, or CCFL, as the backlight source, and they use electrodes and mercury vapor to create ultraviolet light. And depending on the type of LCD, the user may have to sit directly in front of it in order to see it. If you go off to the side, sometimes you can't view them very well. Another type of display is an LED, or light emitting diode. This one, instead of using the CCFL, uses one of two types of high emitting diodes as a backlighting source, either a dynamic RGB LEDs or white edge LEDs, and actually they're used in combination. The white ones are around the edge and the RGB ones behind the panel itself. And LEDs consume even less energy than a LCD display, however, they are more expensive. Another type of display is an OLED, or organic light emitting diode, which use the same technology as an LED, but use organic compounds that emit light when subjected to an electric current. OLED screens can be used in a larger variety of dimensions than LED screens, and are currently utilized in computer monitors, television screens, tablets, and mobile phones. You then have a plasma screen, is another type of display. Plasma displays use xenon and neon rays and a flat panel of glass for visual effect. They can suffer from image burn-in from repeated long-term use, kind of like CRTs do, and only available in very large dimensions, typically 40 inches or more. So they are marketed and utilized more in television displays than in computer displays. And the final type of display device is a projector. Video projectors are often used to display video output onto a whiteboard or onto a screen when someone's giving a presentation. Some of the settings and features of display devices that we talk about, one is the resolution. The resolution is the number of pixels that particular screen will display. And a pixel is nothing more than one little dot on the screen. So for instance, you'll see pixel resolutions, some of the typical ones, 800 by 600, 1024 by 768, 1600 by 1200. It all depends on the type of display device you are using. Now, a LED or LCD screen is going to have an optimum resolution, or a resolution that the manufacturer recommends for getting optimum display. And when you install it, it should automatically go to that particular resolution. And that is referred to as the native resolution of the monitor. Another setting is the refresh rate, is the number of times per second that the monitor is refreshed or repainted. The rate is expressed in hertz. Typical refresh rates are in the range of 60 to 70 hertz. and usually any setting lower than 60 hertz usually produces flickering in the screen. The brightness of the screen, the amount of light that is being emitted from a display device. Brightness is measured in lumens, which is the unit of measurement for visible light that is being emitted from a light source. So if you have the brightness too high, you might get an aura effect displayed on the screen, and if it's set too low, you may not be able to see it very well at all. Many users choose to have multiple displays, and when you have multiple displays, you can either have separate displays on each one or extend the desktop to both displays. It allows you to work on one thing while you have something else up on the other screen if you have that need for your particular job. And depending on the type and make of the display device, it may support either analog or digital inputs. For instance, at home, I have a small 26-inch HD TV that I bought, and now I'm using it as a computer monitor, and I can either plug in an RGB cord to it, or which would make it analog, or a HDMI cord into it to make it digital. Privacy anti-glare filters. These are used to cover the screen to reduce the glare of the screen. Also protects the device from scratches or dust, and it prevents people not sitting at the screen to see what's on the screen if you're worried about confidential information or anything else that would prevent or want you to prevent from having other people view what you have. The color depth is the number of bits used to store the color of the pixel, and the more bits per pixel, the more colors that can be displayed. You might have up to 256 colors, 16 million colors, how many ever colors the monitor will support. Then you have the font. Is a size and style of typeface, and how the different types of fonts display. You can have different types of displays on your monitor. Contrast is the difference in intensity between adjacent colors in an image. If the contrast isn't set properly for the display device and the lighting conditions in the room, for instance, a really bright or really dark room, you might not be able to see anything on the screen, or you might get strange results, very bright type results. The image position, the location or size of the display in relation to the physical device. So you might have a device where, a picture where the image is not centered on the display screen. The image does not fill the screen, leaving a black band around the outside, so you might have to adjust the horizontal or vertical position of the image to get it to look right on the monitor. Distortion control can appear as curves, waves, or patterns in the video image typically caused by electromagnetic interference. And so sometimes you can just fix the problem by moving whatever is emitting the EMI further away from the monitor. If you look at typical aspect ratios of a monitor, and that is the aspect of the width to the height of the device. For instance, CRTs were the 4:3 aspect ratio. Most LCD and LDE screens work at either a 8:5 or a 16:9 ratio. So typically an LCD or an LD is considered what we consider widescreen type of monitor. Now, before we can even install the monitor, we have to make sure that we have the correct device drivers for that monitor. So the way it works is the mouse, for instance, sends a command that the device can understand, and the driver is what drives or allows that particular peripheral to run or issue the command to the computer. When you are selecting a display device, There are various selection tips that you might want to keep in mind. One is the size. Depending on the space where the monitor is going to be put, and the user's personal preference will dictate what kind of size monitor you want to have. Technical needs. If certain programs require dual monitors or require a larger monitor, or for instance, when I go to my doctor's office, they have LCD screens, but because of the definitions of the program and the space that they have, instead of being wide side to side, they turn them 90 degrees so it goes up and down instead of side to side. The efficiency of the monitor. As the technology evolves, the devices tend to be more energy efficient than their predecessors. For instance, LEDs consume less energy than LCDs, which may make them more preferable if we're trying to be more energy efficient. Of course, new technology is always going to cost more when it first comes out. And that's what you have to look at, is the cost. The newer the technology, the more expensive the device. So like I said, LEDs are more energy efficient, but they also cost more to implement. Installation considerations. There are several considerations to keep in mind when installing a device. Do you have cables and connectors for connecting that device? Do you have the proper expansion card installed in your computer? Are the drivers installed? Because without the drivers, the device will not work. And is there a power source available to run that particular device?